everything in between. Want to join in? Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Thursday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Just 2 days away from Mizzou in Alabama. And Brendan's giddy. You look giddy.
I don't think I'm giddy. I think I'm the nerves of the reality of the game being less than 48 hours away, I think are getting to me. But I'm still, under a little bit of a jumpy exterior. I think I'm still feeling pretty good about the game. I'm ready for it, man. I'm excited.
Hey, it's going to be here in less than 48 hours. So gear up if you aren't already. We'll help you gear up some more with over-unders today for Mizzou Bama coming up in a few minutes. Some interesting ones to dive into. We'll also do the same for Chiefs Lions. Interesting injury update today. No Xavier Worthy at practice for the Chiefs today. So we'll dive into that. We'll talk some more Mizzou Bama with Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and get you ready for Play, Fade, Eliminate at 525 fantasy football advice that rivals no others. I guess, because for better or worse, I suppose.
Yeah, it could be the other way. Yeah,
we won't definitively say one way or the other, but we'll either be really bad or really good for you. Coming up at 525 for your fantasy football advice. Play, Fade, Eliminate. 875-KTGR. If you want to call or text us, you can also tweet us at KTGR Big Show and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
As expected, first SEC availability report released last night showed Caden Green as questionable for the game against Alabama. Mizzou's starting left tackle has missed the last couple of games due to an injury, but Eli Drinkwitz indicated there could be a chance he is back this week, but would be listed as questionable for most of this week. We shall see how the updates trickle in, whether the availability report shows it or if Pete Thamel's tweets show it. Who's to say? Also notable, Ryan Williams was listed as probable on that report. Pete Nakos of On3 Sports did say today that the expectations, according to his sources, are that Ryan Williams will play against Mizzou coming up on Saturday at 11 a.m. Be sure to catch our pregame coverage beginning with the Yuengling Tiger Game Day show at 8 a.m. Saturday. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 9th day of October 2025. You can call or text us here at 875-KTGR if you want to give your thoughts on Mizzou Bama, which, again, the anticipation's really building up for this now. You're seeing it across the country, too, not just here in town, but everyone is starting to prep themselves for how big of a game this could be, how entertaining of a game this could be. Honestly, I think it will be coming up on Thursday, and that's what makes it more compelling, not just for the fact that we haven't seen a game like this in Columbia in quite legitimately 45 years, like they've been talking. And so it's finally here, and now we're just leading up to what these stats could look like and what the path to victory could potentially be for Mizzou.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, or I guess I should say I'm kind of enjoying watching non-Mizzou people and seeing what they have to see about this game. Some of them are Alabama-centric people. Some of them are just, like you said, there is some national attention on the game. It's a top 15 ranked matchup. So the people that generally might not dive into what Missouri is up to on a given week are doing so this week because they're hosting Alabama. And like, it feels like part of the masses are going, Missouri, why are people getting so fired up about Missouri? Like, yeah, Alabama beats Missouri. That's the way this always goes. And then there's the people who are maybe, I don't know, a little more plugged in, I would say, and understand that there are some things that Missouri could do to Alabama that could pose them a problem. And so finding out, which side of the aisle you fall on, what actually takes place based on what we're expecting is going to be a blast, but it has been fun to kind of just take it in and go, okay. I don't really know what to make of it because I wouldn't say it's a narrative of everybody universally going, oh, Mizzou's got no chance, counting them out. but it's also not necessarily everybody going, hey, you really shouldn't overlook the Tigers. It's kind of a little bit of mixture of both, I would say, that I have seen so far this week.
Yeah, so far, the pretty even keel, I'd have to say, as far as predictions for this game. And that's totally anecdotal. That's not based off of any stats that I've seen on it. But honestly, I feel like that's how the game will go. There will be punch, counter punch in several sequences of that throughout this game, if you ask me. Okay, so why don't we start with the over-under for Ahmad Hardy if it is in fact available? Because it's obviously been a key to Mizzou's victories here first 5 weeks of the season. It will be key once again to see if he is the guy that is once again propelling Mizzou to take control of the game. And if he does, then the Heisman chatter starts to really rise up. What's the number, Brendan, that we have?
Do you want to guess before I tell you? There is a sports
I
book
am
with
going
the
to
line on
guess
his
that
rushing.
it is somewhere in the 80s to 90s range.
It's 96.5.
Okay.
I'm just telling you now, that's a huge number.
It is
for college running backs. I mean,
it's a lot of respect.
You'll see it. You'll see it from time to time. Let me say it this way. It's not necessarily just a huge number for college running backs, but like when you're facing an opponent like Alabama, that feels like a very significant number. But I think it's right in terms of he probably needs to get that for Missouri to combat Alabama in the way that I want to see them do. Like you could say, well, but what about if they split the workload and Roberts had a good game and Hardy ran for 85 yards and Roberts ran for 70 yards, and that's still pretty good. Yeah, I really do think Hardy getting to this kind of benchmark is important, or at least close to it. And then if he doesn't clear it, I'm like, all right, what did Mizzou do offensively to get him over the hump if it wasn't just an outlier game for Hardy against a really quality opponent?
And I feel like if they're using both Hardy and Roberts, it means that both are effective. And that probably means that Hardy is effective enough to get to 96 or above it. And so right. I would feel that is like, I wouldn't worry about carries being siphoned off. And that's the reason why somebody doesn't get to a number. I think if they're splitting carries, that means that they are both doing what they're supposed to do and exploding for numbers that we weren't expecting going in. Like that's what happened against Kansas. Mostly like they were using both because Roberts also got to 100 yards. And so like that, I think if you like that aspect of it, then maybe you look at Roberts. I don't know if Roberts will have a number though. I would guess not.
He's got one.
Oh, he does.
Okay. It's 45.5.
Oh, wow. I would actually like
that one.
I actually do like that one a little bit better.
He's cleared it in four straight games. I don't know if I do like that one as much when you think about so the 2 games against power conference opponents, he has seen 13 carries in both of them. I assume his last carry was the one against Kansas that broke for 63 yards. And so if he hadn't had that carry, Jamal Roberts still would have went 12 for 80 against the Jayhawks, which would be a very good day for an RB2 on the offense because he was the second fiddle, but then ended up, I think he outgained Hardy in the game because of that one big long burst. But he was effective all day, to your point. Hardy was effective all day. Against South Carolina, and like the workload split we've kind of seen in those 2 games be rather consistent. 25 carries for Hardy, 13 for Roberts. Against South Carolina, it was 22 for Hardy, another 13 for Roberts, where he went for 76 yards. So based on that, we've got a 2-game sample. If you want to throw out the other 3 games and say you can't really look statistically at what running back did what in those other 3 games because those were gimmies. Those are games that you knew you were going to win. The 2 games that you didn't know for sure you were going to win, they said our offense benefits from running the ball 35 plus times with our running backs and giving it about a 2-to-1 split in the way that we siphon it. Maybe even a little bit more of a 60-40 split in the way that those carries are divvied up. And to your point, like if both are effective, they'll have that same split again, and it will bode well for Missouri. I'd almost want to ask you, between the 2 of them, where would you set the over-under on rushing attempts? Because if it's not working, do they stick with it and say, it's not working, we're down by 10 points, eventually we're going to have to throw to get back in this thing, but we're not going to? Or do they start to go the way of Vanderbilt and what I would define as maybe a little panic and saying, uh-oh, we got to abandon this because we're down. We can't afford to play it that way. Vandy would much rather lean on its best player, which is Pavia.
Right.
Missouri's best player is Ahmad Hardy. Bo Perbula is great. I think Ahmad Hardy is definitively the best running back in the SEC. And so you can't go away from that, even if you're down 7 or 10 or 13 points.
I think you're right.
But where would you put that? A line for rushing attempts for the two?
Oh, for Hardy, I would say around 16.5, 17.5 potentially. And then for Roberts, I'd put it around 9.5.
It needs to be over for sure on Hardy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what the number.
But you're right. Like,
I'm not a Vegas expert, but that'd be my guess.
It's not a bad guess because, and look, later in the week, I think they'll probably even have maybe rushing attempts for each of them individually as a number. But right now, I don't see it. I think Mizzou is an underdog in this game. So that's to suggest that they're not going to have their way like they did on the ground in the games that they won by 9 or 12 points, right? Like, it's supposed to be a little bit harder, so the numbers go down a little bit. But if Ahmad Hardy wraps off his 22 carries like he's gotten in every single game that wasn't against an FCS opponent, he's 22 or more in the last 4 games, he probably gets to 100 yards, and Mizzou has a very good chance to win the game. I think that, like, their ability to have comfort with sticking with the run, I think is really important, because we're saying all week, well, they're going to do it. Of course they're going to stick with the run, but that'll be trying, Andy, if they have a couple of drives that end in a punt where they go first down, gain a yard, second down, gain a yard, third down, incomplete, punt. Like, if that happens too many times, how do the subsequent series go? That is what will be interesting, but I am still going to believe that Hardy will have an impact. Roberts will have an impact. Whether Roberts gets to the 45.5 or not, I'm not sure. I would like to think that he will, that it's very similar to South Carolina, where this bowling ball with legs that we're trying to tackle is wearing us down as a defense. And then the other one comes in and he's got even a little bit more burst, a little bit more wiggle. He'll hit you too. He'll run through you too. But I think he's a little bit more geared toward that. He'll juke you. Ahmad Hardy doesn't care if you try to arm tackle him. That's his version of a juke. Your mistake is trying to arm tackle him and he'll just go right by you. I think Roberts will wiggle past you a little bit as well. The degree to which that works, he may not get 10 carries, Jamal Roberts, but if he gets one that goes for 20 yards, you're talking about him also having a chance to go over that rushing total. But I'm taking over 96.5. I will go on record and say Hardy has another triple-digit rushing outing, which, if it comes in a Mizzou win, I do believe really does vault him up the Heisman watch list.
Oh, you'd have to think so. 875-5847. You can call or text us if you want us to weigh in on over-unders for Mizzou and Bama. You can text us your own, and we'll get to those and continue here on the Big Show KTGR. I think on the other side of it, Brendan.
Yeah.
For Alabama offensively, maybe not even for a particular player, but just in general, the longest reception. Where would you set that one?
Oh, where are they on the field? Because it's going to be a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great question. If I set it at 49.5 yards, what would you do with that? Because that's to say they're going to hit a big one. And I think they'll probably hit a big one.
Man,
I hope I'm wrong.
I'll say under.
Where's the number that would get you to say over if I kept saying, okay, 44.5, okay, 39.
Probably 39, 39 or 34.5 potentially. They could have a 40+ yard reception in this game, no doubt.
Because if they go for 40, that might not be a touchdown. There's still hope that that's not a touchdown, But if it's 50+, I might be implying that Ryan Williams is doing one of those do-si-do dances on the sideline that he's become known for. He's done that a couple of times, most famously last year against Georgia. There might be one of those. Maybe he's limited because of the probable status. I don't really know. Do we know what his injury is suspected to have been? People were saying, yeah, he kind of looked a little sluggish against Vandy at the end, but nobody really wanted to talk about that until they got confirmation. Okay, he's probable. And then I saw a reporter kind of say, yeah, I did kind of notice that, but it wasn't worth mentioning because I didn't have anything to go on. But there's maybe a little bit of something to that. If it's lower body, could that limit him in some capacity?
The Nakos tweet from today did not say what the injury was, but sources told Nakos that he is expected to play. He has tracked well this week. So I don't know. That's a It's one that probably Alabama has done a decent enough job, I suppose, of keeping under wraps so that the Missouri defenders don't know what to target, right, for him. But yeah, that's an iffy one. I would guess probably lower body, but that's just of the guess to the point where that's the most likely thing that would limit a guy like Ryan Williams because of his speed, because of his elusiveness, everything like that. And so maybe that's what it, but again, that's not based on any kind of knowledge. That's just me speculating. So I don't know.
No, and that's exactly. I wish I could find the tweet because I think it came from somebody that covers Alabama. But either way, he would still be my candidate. Jeremy would be another candidate to log this longest reception that we're referencing. I'll throw a couple of receiving totals at you, not longest reception, but just for the game. Bernard is 62.5. Williams is 70.5. Isaiah Horton is 45.5. Anything stand out there?
Yeah. Horton is an interesting one. Like maybe it's the guy that we don't all that much expect. And they go to this guy and he flies under the radar and he makes a few big catches, potentially on third down.
He's not really behind the others all that much. He had 66 yards against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And Ty Simpson threw for 340. Maybe that's the question is
that's
like, okay,
thing. Like
rather than picking which
really
receiver does it, 285.5. Ty Simpson.
Wow. Whoa. That's respect too.
Well, it should be. I mean, that's what he's been doing to teams.
And look, Sellers went for over 300.
He did.
What did Daniels do? Did he get above 300 yards?
I don't think he did, but I'll look it up.
But I mean, it was still, it's still, that's how they get their offense. And I would lean over, but here's the thing. Here,
I would smash the over on that. No offense to anybody in the back end.
But here's the thing.
Back end, but
don't.
Kind of
you don't. Make sure you don't, obviously. But for me, here's the number that's the most important. I don't know if this is out there or anything like that, but this would just be my guess.
Okay.
If I set the over-under at 2.5 for sacks by Mizzou in this game, how would you feel?
I would feel like I hope that it's over because that would imply that on the that they were getting consistent pressure, and on the plays that they didn't, it probably means that they're impacting the throw, which I think has happened in some of those throws that we talked about for Sellers and Jalen Daniels. We're like, oh, he missed the throw, but then you look back, it's like, well, Zion Young was kind of tracking, you know what I mean? And so maybe they don't have to bring them down 3 times. I would love it if they would.
Well, I actually think they do because it's still indicative of their pass rush. I agree, but I think you got to get home a few times, man.
Okay, I like
create some big momentum swinging plays, back them up for a loss. Because in those situations, maybe Ty Simpson thinks that it's a win for him that he just gets the ball away if the pass rush gets in his face as much. And so, and look, they gave up 4 sacks, I believe, last week against Vanderbilt.
Vandy sacked him 4 times. Yeah.
Florida State sacked him 3 times. And I think in all other games, they have only allowed 2 sacks. So like,
it's a great stat.
And so this is the best pass rush that Alabama will have faced to this point. So for me, you need to win that battle. You have got to create some big plays on defense that actually will help you move them behind the chains.
Yeah.
And potentially make it tough on third down, because that's where they can kind of thrive is if they are in a third down situation, they're not all that daunted by it. They can still kill you because of how Ty Simpson has been throwing the football. But if you are getting him to the ground and you're making it even tougher, then you do have a recipe for victory. So I actually think that it needs to be over 2.5 sacks.
I like that. I like the boldness there because I think your argument swayed me. Like, I do think you've got to get home on some of those, or it's just going to feel like, yeah, you're kind of doing a good job, but that's not good enough to beat Alabama. You have to have that be a focal point of your attack. And to see the Vanderbilt stat that they did get him down on the ground 4 times, to know that Florida State had success there, and that in any other game that Alabama played, which were the blowout wins, they didn't really get that type of pressure. I think that's significant. Also significant, I want to ask about Jam Miller. 67.5 rushing yards is his rushing line.
Yeah, that's good.
He went for 136 against Vanderbilt, but like, and like Vanderbilt has that good run defense statistically as well. We'll see. Mizzou, we'll see what that looks like, but they don't rank like Missouri. Missouri's first in the nation, 39.5 yards allowed on the ground in FBS competition. Vanderbilt allows about 100 per game. It was better than that before Jam. Georgia held him to 46 rushing yards, Andy, and he had a good 16 carries in that game. But I don't think he was necessarily up to full speed yet in his first game back. I really look at this one and go, man, he might get to 75, 80 yards, and that's just going to have to be part of the deal. Like we're so used to Missouri shutting down a run game. This is going to be the best one that they've seen. I think by far.
I think so.
Because he's a very talented player. And they've got a big offensive line that's going to move people.
And a little more fresh, like in the sense of he hasn't played as many games. I know he was coming back from injury, so I don't know how it's obviously been gradual for him to get up to full strength. But for me, it's still a test of, okay, can you force Alabama to turn away from him in those plays that they want to give him the ball? And Mizzou
that'll be decided on first downs. Early first downs. Is he picking up 6, 7, 8 yards a play? Because if that becomes the norm and Alabama feels like, it can stick with that, and then it can play action you into oblivion, because those fellas in the back end that we talked a lot about their eyes and basically having it said, I don't want you contributing in run defense. That's not what you're here to do, safeties. You cannot get caught up in that and trying to make a tackle in the backfield. We've got guys that are designed to do that. You have to be ready. And so if they start churning Jam Miller 6, 7, 8 yards a carry on first down to set up favorable down and distances, do the safeties start to creep up and they start to get antsy, or do they stick with the plan that indicates if you don't stick with our plan, they will go over the top on you and it will be a disaster? That's going to be a very interesting thing, because we're used to the run defense being great, but Jam Miller's the best running back they will have faced.
We'll see if the Tigers force him to turn away from Jam Miller at any point in the game, if they can be effective stopping him in this one. Call or text us with your over-unders for Mizzou and Bama. You can also leave a comment on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel at KTGR Sports. If you leave a comment, we might just show it on our screen right here like we did a few minutes ago. Thanks for commenting there. And in the meantime, we'll keep talking Mizzou Bama with Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch as he joins us next to talk about these nitty-gritty matchups, who can get the best of whom, and how will those edges be able to determine an outcome as the Tigers take on the Tide at 11 a.m. Saturday. Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch joins us next on The Big Show.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hey, it's Andy here with Underdog Fantasy. You know, we're in a stretch where we have something like 49 consecutive days of a football game, whether it's college or pro. It's a great time right now to get in on Underdog Fantasy. Get in on all the winnings that you could be making based on just your sports knowledge. And we're back to Thursday night football tonight, Eagles and Giants. You know, both these defenses tend to not give up big plays. They keep most everything in front of them. And I think that could be good news for both tight ends in this game. So for Dallas Goedert of Philly and Theo Johnson of New York, I'm going higher on both of their receptions projections for tonight. For Goddard, it's 4.5. For Johnson, it's 3.5. I like higher on both. And that can be your underdog entry if you want it to be, or you can add more picks to it. And if you get all those picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. So download the Underdog app today and sign up with our promo code KTGR to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code KTGR. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Right there. That hole opens up, and he did not hesitate to hit it.
Seriously.
You don't have to live like this. Just trying to watch football and laugh at obviously hilarious things the broadcasters say. Your favorite team plays outside. You should be watching them outside on a Crutch's deck.
Yeah, he got penetration there, but he just couldn't finish it.
Get a custom outdoor football watching oasis with Crutch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
When I was in Iraq, our convoy was hit. It was bad. After I came home, I could still hear booms and see tracer fire. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
With help from DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm part of DAV. We're veterans helping veterans to get the benefits they've earned. And I give my veterans my all.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Naomi Mathis, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Parents know bats aren't cheap. That's why Play It Again Sports is giving you the chance to save big. Now through Sunday, come in to Play It Again and get registered to win $500 towards a new baseball or softball bat. You don't even have to use it now. Your discount is good through March 31st, 2026. So you can wait for next year's bats and still save. Stop by the store, scan the QR code, and you're in. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
From Branson Landing to the Capitol Dome, Union Station to the Tigers' home. Big old services, Missouri's best. Our trusted team outpaces the rest. Show me state coverage wherever you go. We've got you covered at Big O.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Gearing up for Mizzou, Bama, less than 48 hours away now. Call or text us with over-unders that you want us to weigh in on for the game at 875-KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brendan. And we also continue to preview this big matchup, one of the bigger matchups we've seen at Furrow Field in quite some time. And let's preview it now by bringing in Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Go and read his great work over at the St. Louis Post and go follow him on Twitter at Eli Hoff. And Eli, this one feels a little different, right? Just how this has led up all this week, especially with how you've covered it and how you've sort of felt it on your own, how monumental a win could be for Mizzou should it happen coming on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know if we can really overhype this game, to be honest with y'all. That you look at what is possible for Missouri if the Tigers actually go out and win this game. It's a game where it's a gateway type game of you think of what is on the other side of a win against Alabama. Of course, a loss doesn't end the season by any means. That's what this era of college sports is. But a win just opens up so much for a program like Missouri, and but that's always been true of beating a team like Alabama. But it's that Mizzou has a distinctly different kind of shot in this game, where it's a different Missouri, it's a different Alabama, and that's why you've seen the spread be what it is in this situation. That's why I think there's a weird kind of anxious confidence, if that can be a thing, among a lot of Missouri fans headed into this. I don't think I've seen a game like this since I've been around here. I think even going back a little beyond that, there hasn't been a game like this. So I'm excited for it, and I know I'm far from alone in that.
One thing that seems to be so interesting about the matchup, Eli, is sort of the way that we look at, okay, on paper, Alabama's passing offense against Missouri's passing defense. And then on the other side, Alabama has struggled at times against the run. Missouri wants to run all over you. What do you make of the contrasting sort of styles? It's not really strength on strength. It's kind of strength on perceived weakness that both sides might have the ability to enjoy, and how that may mesh in Saturday's game.
Yeah, I just wrote about this earlier, that it's one of these really weird games where both offensive strengths align with both defensive weaknesses. That makes me think there'll probably be points, even though it's stylistically different. Like I think this is a game that comes down to, in many ways, which defenses get those 2 to 3 stops that are going to be the margin of victory here. A turnover could be really huge there, just because I think these offenses are going to find a good amount of success, just because, yeah, Mizzou wants to be able to run the ball, and Alabama in its last 2 games gave up 6.9 and 7.1 yards per carry to Georgia and Vanderbilt. I think Ahmad Hardy's better than any of the running backs involved in those games. So if you extrapolate that, right, he should be okay there. Similarly, we saw against Vanderbilt, we saw against Georgia, what Ty Simpson's able to do against good pass coverage. Mizzou's secondary has not been producing even good pass coverage. So imagine what this is going to be. Again, I think it's going to be a lot of points. Maybe it's who has the ball last. I think it's really more which defense actually finds a way to correct some of its flaws and get 2 to 3 more stops than the other one.
Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch with us here on the Big Show KTGR. How important throughout, as we start to learn maybe a little more leading up to game time, would the status of Caden Green be for Mizzou's path to victory in this one? Or are you just kind of okay with Javen Richardson being there anyway, should Caden Green be out there or not?
Yeah, I think the showing against South Carolina showed that if it's not Caden Green, it's not like you can't see a path for Missouri to win, right? The Tigers figured it out in that game, and he did all right. Like it all was fine there. But at the same time, it would be a lot better. I think Mizzou would feel a lot more comfortable if Caden Green's out there. Some things with this offense aren't going to change regardless of who's at left tackle. There's going to be a lot of 12 personnel regardless, just because that's who this Mizzou offense is. That's how they want to play. That's how it's going to work. It might be a little more important if it's Javen Richardson there, but even if it's Caden Green, that's going to happen. This team is still going to run the ball. The team is still going to need somebody to protect Bo Perbila's blind side. Like, all of that is non-negotiable. But if you can have a preseason All-American on your line versus not, you're always going to want to have that guy out there. So we'll see. It'd be a great sign if he gets moved up to probable or gets taken off the injury report before Saturday. I don't really foresee that happening. I think based on Drink's comments a couple days ago, it's going to come down to certainly Friday's walkthrough, maybe even pregame warmups on Saturday to be able to get a feel for this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how it looks for him as he works back, and if the path back ends this weekend, then I'm sure Mizzou fans will take that. Eli Hoff, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch here on the Big Show. If Mizzou, I'm sure at some point in this game, they're going to have to lean on Bo Perbula to make a few plays here and there. Like, yes, they want to work through their offense by running the football with their running backs, but with Bo Perbula and how he has looked in games like this already for Mizzou and making those types of plays, how do you see the role that he could play, but maybe being amplified in those moments?
Yeah, it's going to obviously be important. I think first and foremost, you want to see improvement from him in the pocket feel. That Drink has talked about this. I think it's pretty clear that he hasn't been perfect at just having a feel for where he needs to be in the pocket. Some of that's led to a couple of sacks that just didn't need to happen, and that's led to turnovers, led to a fumble against Kansas, led to a deflected throw that was a pick against UMass that just didn't need to happen. So he needs to take ownership of that and correct that, just to not actively hurt this offense. And then I think you're going to need to be able to see him executing some of these play action throws. Again, we assume Mizzou's going to go into this game, set up the run, lean on the run. What that really does is set up the play action pass that you can do that little, I call it the Kirby Moore special, where it's, everybody runs outside zone left except for Brett Norfleet kind of chips his block and rolls out right, and then Bo Perbula fakes the handoff, rolls with him. They're the only two players on that side of the field. Like, that play has to be there. Bo has to make those throws, make those reads. He needs to be sound with his legs, all of that. We can say Ahmad Hardy's the most important player in this game. Doesn't mean Bo Perbula gets a day off by any means. He needs to be money with the throws he's tasked with making.
I want to ask about the other running back, because we've sort of viewed this Mizzou run defense as this automatic entity, and it has been the tops in the nation in what they're allowing opposing rushers to do to them. Have they seen a running back, though, like Jam Miller? And now that Jam Miller is healthy and really seems to be at the top of his game as well, what does that part of this matchup look like for you?
Yeah, it's going to be a different kind of test. You look at Kansas, and the ground game was more about Jalen Daniels and just kind of some of the optionality with that. It wasn't really all that much there. Louisiana had a couple good running backs there, and were largely stuffed aside from that one. Was it like an 81, 89 yarder, whatever that one big run was against Louisiana. And then South Carolina's running backs have just been a non-factor. So all that to say, Mizzou has not faced somebody like Jam Miller yet this year. So it's going to be a different kind of test. To me, it's on what that defensive front can be, and this goes for the pass game too. I don't think Mizzou can afford to blitz all that much in this, whether that's to get after Ty Simpson or to come down and try to fit the run. It's got to be the front four plugging the gaps they are assigned to cover. We know Josiah Trotter, we know Khalil Jacobs can move around and cover the rest of the gaps behind them, but there needs to be really sound gap integrity from those front four. I think that's the key there to just getting that kind of push. Because if you give Jam Miller holes, he's going to take advantage of them, and that's going to require the safeties to be coming down. This is a game where ideally, if you're Mizzou, your safeties can stay back as much as possible, because you would like them to do that versus have to come down all that often.
Well, and certainly when it comes to trying to at least affect Ty Simpson, I wonder, Eli, is it more about just affecting him, or does Mizzou need to get to maybe a requisite amount of sacks in this game with it, whether they're blitzing or not? Maybe it is a game where their front four just has to win and make sure that they're wreaking havoc on Ty Simpson as much as possible. But does it matter how many times they actually bring him to a ground in a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, more sacks obviously is helpful, right? That's negative yardage. I think this is one though where it's more about having to make pressure be an element of something he has to consider, right? It's more about getting in his head than getting him on the ground, if that makes sense, where he's shown that he's pretty adept at feeling out what the defense is actually running, finding the holes between the zones and hitting those. If you can just throw that mental processing off a little bit by, if it's pre-snap and he's having to address who the blitzers are, okay, great, that can do it. If it's post-snap and he just has to be paranoid in the pocket, just something that alters his mental process once the ball's in his hands and he's looking downfield, because against Vanderbilt, the pressures just weren't getting home enough, and he was picking them apart. And this Mizzou secondary might have a great day, but again, even then, Ty Simpson is looking like the best quarterback in the SEC. You got to do something to him. So to me, yes, sacks are great and valuable and important, but the just kind of mental impact of each pressure is also valuable.
Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch here on the Big Show KTGR. And it might sound mostly like football coach speak or things like that when they say all three phases, but I feel like for a game like this, it might come down to all three phases. And we've seen Robert Meyer in one big moment, came through with the 40-yard field goal. That was at least to put you up 2 scores. It maybe wasn't necessarily a situation, though, where you're either tied or maybe you're down 1 or 2 and you need it. How do you see, I mean, we'll have to find out, I'm sure, but this could be one of those games too. How do you feel Mizzou special teams wise shapes up here?
Yeah, it's one where it does seem like it could matter, especially because every prediction I think I see is a 1-score game for the. I guess I've seen some blowouts, but like we're seeing a lot of people who agree this is going to be a 1-score game. That 1 score could very well be a field goal or a missed field goal. I still will be really interested to see if Mizzou has to be a little more aggressive right around the edge of the red zone with what they're willing to try or not try as far as the field goal goes. I'll be interested in how much the game script kind of influences some of that. But I've said since Blake Craig went down, like there is going to be a game this season that is determined by Mizzou's kicker, because Mizzou's lean on the kicker more than most teams, but that's true of any football team at any college or professional level. At some point, your kicker is going to have to make a kick for you. This could very well be that game. It could be really any of the games moving forward now. So hopefully it's one of those things where the continued reps have helped him get there, helped the confidence get there a little bit. But it's also one of those things where even if he's been perfect all week in practice, you don't know until you send him out there to try it. So it's going to be a big test for Robbie Meyer.
What's your score prediction?
I say Mizzou 34, Alabama 31. I think both teams score points, but I think Mizzou pulls it out.
Hey, that makes Brendan happy for sure. He's into
I don't
that.
hate it.
He's into that. So that'll be very interesting coming, and obviously the huge seminal moment, if that is in fact the case, for Mizzou's program. It's one of those proof of concept games nationally, and maybe also it vaults more of the conversation here as far as what Mizzou's program could be, right, Brendan? Like that's maybe
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it absolutely does that. I also want to know if Eli thinks if that's the score, do they keep him off the field? Because I know they're not supposed to, but beating Bama, does that mean a last-second field goal? Does that mean, I mean, whatever it is, that could get a little dicey for the whole $500K situation. I don't know.
Yeah, that could. I hadn't really thought about that. Also, well, let me put this with the 34. What if we say that 34 is a missed extra point and not 2 field goals? And that's where it gets.
People don't like it when I mention that as a possibility, but I've kind of played that card before and said, "Hey, you never know."
It's happened before. Yeah, I don't know how they keep him off the field in that instance. I'm sure there will be some video board messaging, but that hasn't been a deterrent when it comes to the Mr. Brightside lyrics. So I don't know how you keep him off the field there. $500,000 is a lot of money. Maybe beating Bama is worth that. I don't know, but
kind of like Dennis Gates wanted him on the floor after the Kansas game. Is this like a big? It's not the same in the rivalry scope.
Well,
but
here's the thing: when Mizzou beat Alabama in basketball last season, Dennis said, "No, don't do it because the money then goes to Bama." Right?
That's true. It's being an SEC game. The money goes to the other team. There's also the element of, look, if Mizzou beats Alabama here, this is a situation where Mizzou is going to vault Alabama in the rankings and be in a better spot than Alabama for the rest of this season. If Missouri fans want to feel like they're a better program than Alabama at this moment in time, then you don't storm the field after beating them, because that's a game you think you should win.
Hardcore not to rush the field if you beat Alabama. I feel like, how often does that happen unless it's a Georgia, unless it's a, that probably doesn't happen often by a school of like the tier that Mizzou has been within the SEC. Just kind of like thinking out loud about that.
Well, yeah, that would be interesting. When is the last time a non-quote unquote blue blood beat Alabama and then didn't storm the field? I genuinely no idea when that would have been.
I got to do some research.
I feel like someone has done research on that within this last week. I can't remember where I maybe saw it, but that would be fascinating to look back on. Either way, we can't wait. 11 a.m. Saturday, kickoff at Faurot Field, 18th consecutive sellout. That matches a program record too. And great to chat about all of it over at with Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Again, he's got great coverage all this week that you can find on the St. Louis Post, talking about this game and Mizzou and beyond. So go and check it out. Follow him on Twitter at @EliHoff. Thanks for coming on, Eli, and talking some ball with us. We'll see you soon.
Hey, for sure. Thanks for having me. I'll see you Saturday.
Absolutely. Big Show is on at 4:43 at KTGR and the KTGR app. I swear I saw that somewhere. I don't know what exactly it was, but it was like only I think you could count on one hand the number of times within the last 10-ish years that Alabama lost a game and the other team didn't storm the field.
They probably also don't lose very many road games, right? So it's also you're operating from a very small sample in the first place. Yeah, but I'll take a peek. I know one team that definitely did storm the field because their goalpost ended up in a river. So I don't.
Yeah.
As I research, I won't have to go look at that one. I'll skip over that one in my process.
Yeah. So that's that'll be something to look over and see what happens. In the meantime, Under the Bus is coming up next here on the Big Show. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. In Under the Bus, well, if you had a record for the shortest statement ever when under turmoil, North Carolina might have said it. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon, I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Caden Green listed as questionable on the first SEC availability report released last night. The Tigers' first-string left tackle has missed the last couple of games due to injury, but a chance that he could be available once again as the Tigers take on Alabama for an 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday. The Yingling Tiger Game Day Show begins at 8 a.m. Saturday right here on KTGR. Note at Chiefs practice, no Xavier Worthy today, dealing with both the shoulder and now an ankle injury. He did play last week in Jacksonville and did practice on Wednesday, but no practice for Worthy today. We'll see what Friday's injury report looks like for the Chiefs as they get set to take on the Detroit Lions for Sunday Night Football this weekend at Arrowhead, trying to get back to 500 on the season. And the St. Louis Blues season begins tonight. Regular season opener at home against the Minnesota Wild. Blues will have their first full year under head coach Jim Montgomery beginning tonight. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking increasing clouds tonight as we drop down into the upper 40s to low 50s. Tomorrow we'll be tracking some showers and storms moving in early in the day, lasting through mid-afternoon. We'll see high temperatures in the low to mid-70s. Cloud cover starts to break up a little bit as we get into the overnight hours, staying in the mid-50s on Saturday morning with highs in the mid to upper 70s. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Join the biggest party of football season at KTGR's Tiger Tailgate. Download the KTGR app and find a full list of locations where you can pick up your free Tiger Tailgate passes. Then come party with free food and drinks 2.5 hours before each Mizzou kickoff in front of Mizzou Arena. It's our Tiger Tailgate with Dive Bar, Bud Light, High Noon, Zing Zang, Lucky One Lemonade, and Mid-Mo Water Solutions. Find out where you can pick up your free passes on the KTGR app.
Hello there. This is Quentin with JQ's On High in Jefferson City. We are looking for skilled and passionate hospitality team members who can bring both front-of-house charm and back-of-house know-how to our unique food service operation. We offer competitive pay plus tips, a fun work environment, and we welcome your creative input on our made-from-scratch menu. If you are dependable, love great food and great people, apply in person today at JQ's On High and be a part of something special here in Central Missouri.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit FVGradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now. 800-417-6411. That's 800-417-6411. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 1-800-417-6411. 800-417-6411 and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways. It is not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
On game day, every needs a. And every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal. And a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com.
This is Nevada Schauke with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, and I'm the Exterior Director of Sales. In the construction industry, the last few years, we've had a roller coaster ride. One thing that has stayed pretty consistent or common is that vendors have continued to raise prices on materials. We have called up to collaborate with some of our large vendors that we work with to offer some year-end promotions. If you're looking to replace your roof, upgrade your deck to composite, replace your old worn-out windows and doors, give us a call. We also offer several financing options to meet most budgets. Your project must be purchased by the end of the year. This is a unique opportunity to save some money on your next home renovation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com. Winter's on the way, so now's the time to plan your tree pruning. Here's why. In winter, trees are dormant, which means there are less risk of disease. Plus, without all those leaves, it's way easier to see exactly what needs trimming. The educated, licensed, insured, and experienced crew at Advanced Tree Solutions knows how to protect your trees and your wallet. But spots are filling fast, so schedule your winter pruning today at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Advanced Tree Solutions, LLC, your tree's best friend.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course. But they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Well, everything's fine over in Chapel Hill, right? Right? Here's the statement from Bill Belichick. Quote, "I'm fully committed to UNC football and the program we're building here." End quote.
Well, I guess that settles it.
There you go. That's all you need to hear, I guess.
Everything is great.
Oh, and
if
you needed to hear a little more to maybe feel even more reassured.
I do, because that was kind of a brief.
That was only from one person. That was just from Bill Belichick, right? Well, here's the director of athletics, Bubba Cunningham.
He would know. Yeah.
Quote, "Coach Belichick has the full support of the Department of Athletics and University." End quote.
Well,
that's how many more words? That's 13 more words. That's a lot of words, Brendan. There you go.
A whole sentence.
It's a lot.
That's no, my take on this was that those two statements, the joint statement release, if you will, was demonstrably worse than having no statement and just letting people, letting the rumor mill churn, because that didn't do anything to stop it. And now you're just drawing more attention to the like, why are you releasing a statement to say these things after 5 games of his tenure, which was a multi-year, 5-year contract agreement?
Yeah, you're only 2-3. Like it's not like you're 0-5, right? You really need to do that? No, come on. This is just.
It's indicative of where they're at. And it's not a good place.
Will he finish the season?
No.
You don't think so?
I've been telling you. No, I don't think so. And if he does, he won't be back next. Like, there was reporting about the buyout and different. If you're already talking about the buyout, needing to determine, what the situation is with the buyout, it is not a good spot to be in. So, yeah, I don't think he finishes the year.
Well, but
it's best for everybody.
But there was the whole reporting around like UNC could get out of the buyout if like Belichick found a landing spot.
But there's also recruiting
violations and
they are searching. This is a different type of self-report. They are searching for their own violations, hoping they find some because it could nullify the contract of the coach. That's where we're at.
And I'll say this: if I were another Power 4 football program out there, I'd be ticked off. I would be ticked off if somehow they pulled that off and said like, "Oh, we only have to pay Belichick $1 million, or he pays us nothing, or whatever it is to go away." Like, if I were an opposing AD, especially in that conference, I'd be like, "No, that can't fly." But of course, there are no rules, so it's like, yeah,
no rules.
That's the name of the game in college football and college sports these days. Also, under the bus to this Lakers fan who is suing LeBron James over his quote second decision, end quote.
Okay, wait a second.
But here's
he put out a graphic or a video about the second decision, and it ended up being like an ad for alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like just an advertisement plug.
Big old marketing campaign.
Why does the Lakers fan even care? Like, it was a little bit of an annoyance, but
this Lakers fan is claiming deception and fraud because this Lakers fan is claiming that he was led to believe that this would be like LeBron's last year and he was going to retire after this season. And so he bought tickets to the Lakers-Cavs game for like $400 a pop. And now he wants his money back. Buddy.
Well, he can still go to the game.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
You call yourself a Lakers fan, you go to Lakers game. See LeBron.
Look, LeBron's getting up there in age. I don't know if he's 40 years old. Who's to say this isn't his last year? But no, he wasn't announcing it. He was plugging some alcohol brand.
Did you see though that LeBron is out the first 3 to 4 weeks due to sciatica?
Dude,
hey, I've had sciatica. That's no joke. But I mean, like,
that feels like the injury the old guy is going to go out with. But it's not to make fun. But are we shocked?
No,
not really.
I'm really not. It's just it happens to the best of
us. He still does play. When he plays, he still plays at a very high level.
He's very good.
I think he's still got his streak where he's gone since like I don't know the the Soviet Union existed, scoring 10 points per game without falling below a 10-point game. Like he's still a dude, but it's hard to stay on the floor for 81 games anymore.
This will be very cool, and I think perfect for this Mizzou-Alabama game. The guy who is going to be banging Big Mo before the game, Andy Hill. Let's go. They announced that today on the Athletics Twitter page. That is an excellent choice for a monumental game like this one. Well done.
Get the people fired up. That's what we need. I'm not worried about the 11 a.m. Big Mo starts sounding. People are going to be fired up.
They're
in
going to be
that
charged
building.
up.
They're going to be charged up. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Like you've got the SEC Nation, you got the tailgating. People are going to want to enjoy that. And for the 11 a.m. kick, it's always a challenge. I'm not that worried about it for this one. Again, 45 years since we've had this type of matchup in Columbia. That's the magnitude of this game. We can't overhype it, as Eli Hoff told us, and he's right.
And just a reminder, our Tiger Tailgate this week, because of SEC Nation being in the spot in front of Mizzou Arena, our Tiger Tailgate is at the Mizzou Softball Stadium this week. So just keep that in mind once again.
And it's not any further away, so you can still go and enjoy before
Absolutely.
getting to your seat.
Right in the same area. Get all the details on our Tiger Tailgate on our KTGR app or at ktgr.com. But again, the new location for just this week, Mizzou Softball Stadium. Go see where you can get all of your free passes on ktgr.com. Chiefs Lions over unders at 5:05, then play Fade Eliminate at 5:25 here on the Big Show.
You've already met a few members of the Family Pawn family. Now it's time to meet the newest one. Family Pawn's South Columbia location is just off South Providence. And just like every Family Pawn, it's got a personality all its own. Different jewelry, different tools, different gadgets and gear. That's the beauty of the family. No two stores are exactly alike. So after you stop by your favorite, swing by South Columbia. It's your newest Family Pawn store to explore.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Macadoodles does selection like nobody else. If you're looking for ingredients to make the perfect new drink, look no further. Why settle for boring? Macadoodles has you covered. With Columbia's widest variety of beer, wine, and spirits, you're sure to find something new and exciting when you shop with Macadoodles. Come experience the difference in selection at Macadoodles today. Macadoodles delivers world-class customer service and unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Who does selection like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
Save big money on your roofing project at Menards with Owens Corning Shingles. Your roof is the first line of defense against the elements and enhances the appearance of your home's exterior. Owens Corning Duration Shingles offer ultimate protection and impressive curb appeal. Choose from 24 colors of Owens Corning Duration Shingles and transform your home today. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi with breaking NBA news from ESPN's Shams Charania. Lakers star LeBron James out at least 3 to 4 weeks due to sciatica on his right side. MLB Spotlight tonight belongs on the cities of Los Angeles and Chicago in a pair of Game 4s in the National League Division Series. Dodgers home to the Phils. First pitch in 8 minutes. LA starts Tyler Glass now. It's Christopher Sanchez for Philly. Cubs facing elimination for a second straight game against the Brewers. And it's all hands on deck pitching-wise for Chicago, which looks for starter Matthew Boyd to perform like Jamison Tayo did last night, notes ESPN MLB analyst Doug Glanville.
Guys have to double up with these days off in the series. Everybody's rested enough, so they're all available.
and they're going to have to find a way to execute a little better if they want to win. But Tyone set the tone, and they're going to need that kind of, 4 innings, 5 innings, at least set up the bullpen enough that you can get the best high-leverage matchups, especially at home.
Game 4, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio. Phoenix forward Satu Sabali diagnosed with a concussion out of Game 4 WNBA Finals tomorrow night versus Las Vegas.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Cannon coming up Friday as the Jags and Seahawks get set to face off. I'll tell you if Trevor Lawrence and Sam Darnold have done enough to be in my quarterback trust tree. It's unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6 right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Faro.
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush.
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Back here for the second hour of The Big Show. You can call or text us at 875-KTGR. You can also leave a comment on our YouTube channel where we're live right now. We're also on Facebook and X. And be sure to subscribe to our channel if you don't already. In a few minutes, we'll talk some Chiefs. Maybe talk about how worried you might be about Xavier Worthy missing practice today, if at all. We'll get to that. We'll get to over-unders for Chiefs-Lions. Big matchup coming up on Sunday Night Football. And then fantasy football advice with Play, Fade, Eliminate at 5:25. We'll try to help you out before the Thursday night game this evening. 875-5847 if you want to call or text us. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Nothing surprising on the first iteration of the SEC availability report Wednesday night, released for the game between Mizzou and Alabama coming up on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. kick from Faurot Field. No, we didn't get surprised by anything, really. Caden Green listed as questionable. I think that's what we expected. I'd expect the same tonight. If he moves toward probable, that would be great news because it'd be a big deal to get him back. But I also think Javen Richardson filled in capably in the 2 games that we have seen without Caden Green to this point. And so it would just be dead on arrival if they don't get Caden Green back against Alabama. Not easy, but I still think a win is possible without him. We'll see if he can play, though. I think that would be a big boost. By the way, Ryan Williams listed as probable doesn't really shock me necessarily because he hasn't really looked himself recently. So if he's dealing with a little bit of minor something behind the scenes, maybe that's not too big of a surprise. But reports indicating he will be expected to play in the game on Saturday.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
But will Xavier Worthy be playing for the Chiefs on Sunday night when they take on the Lions at Arrowhead? That may be in some question after he missed practice today with ankle/shoulder injuries. We know he's got the torn labrum. He's been playing through it. But this is kind of one of those things that I think may come with the territory. Him being limited throughout the week after dealing with the torn labrum, and then he takes a hit in game that maybe didn't feel so good. Now dealing with an ankle. I hope he can play for the Chiefs' sake because without him, I do think you're limited offensively against that Lions team that'll be tough to keep up with. But I also think Tyquan Thornton can fill in pretty capably. We've seen that.
Number 3.
There's Jordan for 3. Yes!
The joint UNC statement from Bill Belichick and the athletic director of the Tar Heels, I think, was worse than no statement because they were one sentence each. And by the way, why are you having to release a statement about Bill Belichick's support within the organization after 5 games of a 5-year contract? Yeah, saying nothing, I think, would have been better than what they did say.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
To storm or not to storm, even posing the question is probably a bad omen, but the conversation we had with Eli Hoff did get us thinking a little bit. Wouldn't it be more of a cool thing for Missouri to beat Alabama and say, we don't need to storm the field against the Tide? I've been scrolling back through Football Reference, I'm all the way to 2021. Haven't found a time that somebody didn't storm against Bama when they beat them at home. I'll keep looking, though. I do think it would be kind of a cool move if they didn't.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
The moratorium is over. I am officially ready to talk puck once again. Blues Wild puck drop tonight on the opener, 7 p.m. at Enterprise Center. Let's go.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Finally, he's back.
I'm over
Blues, Brendan is back.
That overtime loss, that giving up 2 goals in the final minute and a half of regulation, in a decisive Game 7.
Who would do that?
Against, I don't even remember who they're playing.
It's just
that's way in the past.
Right.
It's like one whole game ago, but now they're going to play more games and put that further in
the whole preseason ago, man. There's been a lot of puck already been played.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I'm into it. I think the Blues will be dangerous this year. I'm going to say they're going to win a playoff round at minimum this year.
Hey.
Like they could be real this year. Don't want to get ahead of myself too far. Did I maybe find a jurisdiction of legality to place a Stanley Cup future on the Blues? I might have. So
like hoisting the Stanley Cup or just making the
winning the tournament.
Oh, winning the whole bleeping thing.
I think you're going to get to the start of that thing, and the Blues will be among like 4 or 5 teams that you go, I don't know, they're looking pretty feisty. I think they could be that good this year under Jim Montgomery. I think another year under his leadership is going to be the key. I'm high on what they could do this year. And they made some moves in the offseason that you kind of look at and go, I don't know, give up Zach Bolduc. But I think Doug Armstrong has made targeted moves. And they've stay healthy. I think they've got pieces to be feisty at a minimum when you get to the playoffs. And I do think they'll make it there.
875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. We'll get to Chiefs here in just a bit, over-unders for Chiefs lines. I do want to throw this comment up on our YouTube channel from Blind Squirrel Sports. Thank you for listening and coming on. Says 11 a.m. kickoff should be illegal for those who for our radio audience here. Here's my stance. Like
the media
I
guy
am always
agrees. The guy covering the game.
No, I don't think it will be. I don't think 11 a.m. should be illegal. But I will say, like for games like this one, like it should feel like you should have a night game. I know you can't make all of them night games. There are heavy weekends for each SEC schedule. And sometimes there are some games that don't get that type of treatment. Here's how I generally feel, though. Like those that, like Mizzou UMass should not have been a night game. Like just
that was the first time I've ever felt that. Like 2:30 would have been okay. We'd have been done with the homecoming stuff. We would have been like that was the one reason that it was nice. People could do the whole parade experience if they wanted to, and then still tailgate. But by the time, like clearly, it had been a long day for a lot of people because the second half. Folks began to depart, which probably happens anyway. It was a nice night, though. And so I think if it hadn't been such a long day with homecoming, you might have kept the crowd into it a little bit longer. But that's also a game that, frankly, should never be scheduled again. Let's accept that 9-3 teams in the future are really good and are deserving of the playoff. And if we all universally agree with that, we can stop scheduling so many of the cupcakes.
Well, there will be a little less of that now because of 9 games. And so that's the thing. But like, still, there will be a few cupcakes, and I am always the advocate of, look, if you're a big-time program, okay, maybe get those cupcakes out of the way earlier in the day.
Homecoming, though, was an exception. Wouldn't you agree? Like,
yes, it was. Like, homecoming is more important to have further away from the parade so that everybody can go to that and then tailgate for a little bit, go to the game, and then get home safely. So,
but I hate 11 a.m. for this game in particular. You've got your first top 15 matchup in Columbia in 45 years, whatever it's been. And that just kind of feels wrong. It feels off a little bit.
I know.
But we knew in the summer, right, that this was going to be the case. And it's not because they're belittling the matchup. I guess we should explain that part. From a TV perspective, this matchup is getting acclaim. It's on ABC.
A big one
it's
in every window. So they want to spread out their big games as much as possible. So they knew that they had a good chance of this being a pretty big game. And they said, all right, let's make sure that it is at least covering a spot where, we know we have at least one big game in the 11 a.m. window, and here it is. And
if I may,
it's picked up by ABC. So
it's not the only thing they're covering, though.
What?
By putting this game at 11 a.m.
What?
You're covering the asses of Alabama a little bit. As the road team, I think you'd rather play at 11 a.m., get it over with, than sit around all day in a foreign town and then have the crowd be all lathered up at a 6:30 kick or a 6 o'clock kick. It's inarguable that as the road team, you'd rather play at 11 than 6. In an environment like this one,
I guess. I don't know.
Small benefit.
Likely how much it allows you. Here's the thing. I have never altered my final score by when the game was.
I agree. It's not going to be a tangible thing that you can say, it's worth X amount of points. But I think it benefits Bama coming in. Now, Drink probably thinks it benefits Mizzou. And there might be a tangible way that it does because he's able to convince his players that it does. Because I can promise you, if we're having this conversation on the radio, it's something he's thought about in the facility this week as he's talked about game times before. He posted a tweet when they had to move up the Louisiana game and say, hey, the great ones adjust. There's going to be an aspect to the way he approaches his team. There's probably already been to say, I don't want to hear about the game time. This is what it's all about. We'll play the game at midnight if that's what they say we have to do for this matchup that sets the course of our program if we win it, when we win it. Like I think he's going to have the perfect approach that's not going to matter. But because we have to sit here for really 3 weeks, we've been sitting here talking about this game because we did overlook the opponent on the UMass thing. Sorry, I did. I didn't respect my opponent that week. Yeah. But that's kind of where it's at for me is like, man, it feels like something that we can at least kind of toss around and talk about from the outside perspective. But no, I'm not going to assign a point value to Bama on it. It's just when we talk about going into Death Valley at night, there's a reason we say the at night part about that, right? It's just it's got a little extra juice, a little tougher to do. It's the road team all day to think about it. And when you're thinking about it, that's not a benefit to you going out and playing football. So I wish it was a night game as well, but that's not going to indicate that Mizzou can't win the game. It's irrelevant when it comes to the brass tacks of the situation.
875 KTGR. Give us a call or a text here on the Big Show. Let's go to Brad on the KTGR hotline. Brad, what you got?
Hey guys, good afternoon. I am been racking my brain the other day when y'all said this thing about since the 70s, since two teams in the top 15 faced off at Faroe.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember. I thought Oklahoma was number 1 and we were number 14 in 2010.
I think they were at Mizzou. I think was just outside of the 15. I want to say 18 maybe. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's my guess.
Darn Google's got it wrong then.
Oh, do they? Okay.
I've got Mizzou at 18 for that game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I was sitting there going, well, wait a second. I know that they were close, but all right, that explains it. I appreciate you guys and keep on keeping on.
Absolutely appreciate you, Brad, here on the Big Show KTGR. And a little deceiving.
And hey, Brad,
like, yeah.
7 after it. So in case you're wondering how far Mizzou could climb, I mean, it's
So like that's the type of impact that this game can have. And look, a little bit deceiving because they've had top 15 matchups before, but they have been outside the state. They've had one in Arrowhead before. I mean, 07, Mizzou, Kansas, in the state of Missouri, but not at Faroe. So that's the distinction there. But
this is the biggest matchup of it. Matches 10. It matches 2010. If we can be so bold as to say when you're talking about number 18 versus I'm seeing OU was number 3. Now there's different rankings. I think somebody probably had him at number 1 that week, but this is kind of it's on par with that. And I would say, don't let the Sooner fans hear me, but like. I think Alabama is a bigger brand than Oklahoma for football as we're playing this game, right? Now, maybe at the time Oklahoma was akin, but that's the other part of it that I look at and say, it is kind of it's on par with that.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR here on the Big Show if you want to discuss that. All right, let's get to Chiefs here. Over-unders for Chiefs-Lions. But first off, the injury report. Xavier Worthy. DNP for Thursday. Practiced fine yesterday. Full participant. Everyone was full participant yesterday, but Worthy a DNP today. And so maybe a little bit of doubt creeping in. I will say, though, if you not having any insider info, but just if you ask me, I think he's playing. Like, I don't think this is a short-term concern. But I will say when you talk about the long term of Xavier Worthy and what you want him to be for the Chiefs in the future, like if it's year 2 and you're already giving this guy like load management days in practice, like maybe a little concerning, right? For that aspect of it, I suppose.
I don't think so. No. I don't think you can just call it load management. He's got a torn labrum and he's dealing with an ankle sprain.
True.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like if he were healthy, it's not like he's just getting a vet rest day. But it's like important to our offense, multiple injuries rest day. Does that indicate he couldn't have possibly practiced today? Maybe not, but giving him a day to try and get on the other side of these injuries rather than push all week. And then by the time you get to the game, you go, well, what's he got left? I'm okay with it. And that's what I tried to kind of describe in the top 5 is like, it's not surprising that he'll take a hit in a game when he's got these injuries, when he's 170 pounds or whatever he is. He's not a big guy, And so I'm not shocked that can happen and then leave him feeling the effects of it days later. And so if they're just managing the workload here, because I guess I didn't notice anything yesterday. Did he not practice yesterday, or was it
full
moderately?
Everybody a full practice yesterday.
So I guess we'll see. And if there's anything said about it, I'm sure it's going to be asked about if it hasn't been, but kind of what that ends up laying out to be. But yeah, I would lean that he plays as well, just because of what we're describing. He's important to the team. And if he practiced yesterday, unless there was a result from yesterday that didn't, sit well with his recovery, and I would think that the game that they played on Sunday or on Monday would be more of a factor than anything that could have happened on a Wednesday practice. Or let me ask it this: there was a full practice yesterday?
Yeah,
because they did play on Monday night. I guess they took the one day off, and
it's a short week. They get back on track with their Sunday schedule, and Wednesday.
Maybe that's
Thursday,
part
Friday
of it too,
practice.
though. Is like, all right, it is a little bit more of a physical toll type of week when you think about Monday having been the game, and not only Monday but at Monday night.
It's a good point.
So maybe that's part of it. I would lean that he plays as well, though. If I over/under snaps by Xavier Worthy, 0.5, I would take.
They haven't taken off any over/unders, have they, on Xavier Worthy? I would hope.
Oh, that's a good question. I'll look. I mean, it could. Our whole game might be messed up today if they're going missed practice. We might have to. But that would honestly be telling if they just don't adjust at all. It probably indicates they're like, yeah, we see that he didn't practice, but it's not particularly meaningful. Let's see what it says though. Yep. They're at least they're covering themselves because there's no Chiefs receiving props on the board.
Oh, none at all. Okay, great.
And that makes sense because if he's playing, everybody else is diluted in terms of the share of the pie that they'll get of the passing pie. But if he's not playing, then obviously they can't have those stats out there because you take everybody else's over and you're probably going to be right. Yeah. Like Tyquan Thornton's was like 13.5 yards on Monday night, and he broke it in one play.
Yeah.
So, and that was with Worthy active. You'd be having a really hard time as an odds maker to figure out what the heck to do with that line. If he's playing versus if he's not. The only one I actually see that they've decided on another sports book is not relevant to Worthy's involvement, which is interesting, is Kelsey. He's the only one that's on there on this other sports book, and he's at 45.5. But don't you think his role is his role regardless of Worthy? I think that's kind of fair. They don't lean on him more with Worthy out, which is not what we would have said 2-3 years ago if a top receiver was out.
Yeah, but Kelsey, you're right. Kelsey being on his game or not being on his game, I don't think is dependent upon anybody else on the field. It's dependent upon him and dependent upon Mahomes entirely, just with how closely they are mentally connected for how they have played throughout all of these years. And so
that's interesting, though. You wouldn't have seen that a couple of years ago, I don't think.
Nope, I don't
because
think
they would have said, oh, it's a 14-target Kelsey game if somebody was out, and that's not really the offense. Now, Tyquan Thornton would be the guy that I would say elevates if Worthy is either limited or not playing. But Thornton's on the field enough that, man, he'll catch 2-3 passes, and that's 80 yards because that's the type of game he plays. And how rare is that for Mahomes to have developed that chemistry with him already where that has – he's a part of this at this point.
Well,
you know?
I mean, the guy has just been waiting for his opportunity, and I don't know if it was ever really going to come in New England. They had a lot of change over there. And I understand that. And maybe just the Chiefs were better at identifying that type of talent with him as opposed to maybe some of the other flyers that they had taken, like practice squad guys. Just throw them in the practice squad. Because, I think they did that last year. I think Thornton joined the practice squad of the Chiefs towards the end of last season. And obviously they decided to keep him on and say, okay, in the preseason, we'll give you a shot. But I'm not too surprised because, again, Mahomes will work out in Texas with a lot of these guys. And I'm sure he probably did with Thornton at one point and got that going. So, I actually could see this from the mindset of, okay, he's going to get a few preseason reps because the Chiefs have to evaluate their wide receiver options. They don't know if Rashee Rice is going to be available or not. They still might have worries about Hollywood Brown being healthy for a full season, potentially even Xavier Worthy. I feel like they identified Thornton as maybe the leading candidate of like, okay, can we untap something here? And sure enough, like if he's getting those, like he caught a touchdown in the game first game that Worthy had back, and then did what he did, as you mentioned last week in Jacksonville, to be essentially one of their better receivers on the field at times. Well, then continue to try and bring that out, even if you get Rashee Rice back and he gets a few more of those snaps. I don't think you can completely say goodbye to Tyquan Thornton for what he's done. I think you still need to have some sort of semblance of him contributing down the stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood could get squeezed if we're moving down a couple of weeks down the road and Rice is back fully integrated.
Hollywood had a good game last time, though, so we'll see.
But Thornton is more explosive, but like, we'll see. You know, they'll both play. Juju could get squeezed. Like, Juju has been really out there a decent amount, and he's a guy that probably gets squeezed like a little bit when
Juju is the one that, because he's a similar type receiver to Rice, at least to me, that's the guy that gets a little pushed down the list once Rice gets back.
Because Juju will revert back to like, he'll have one catch per game, 1 to 2 catches per game, and it'll be a big third down, and he'll still fill his role. But he's out on the field long enough now to be more than that in some of these games, and I think that's what will probably change. But it's nothing crazy there. So I don't really have a hot take on a lot Chiefs offensively, because I do want to see what it looks like for Worthy. But I'll ask on the other side, like this Lions offense can run and pass on you. What scares you more, their run game or their pass game against the Chiefs? And then I'll tell you what the numbers are for some of those totals.
It's so tough. There's not a clear answer to that.
Because they're going to do both. I mean,
I think from what the Chiefs have been able to do well, I'm more worried about the pass. They've been a little better against the run, but against the pass, and it's not necessarily even the secondary, it's the pass rush. Like, I mean, we talked about Chris Jones and centered in on the one play that looked really, really bad for him. I did like his answer today when he was asked about it. He owned up to it and is trying to learn from it and everything like that. Apparently he had deleted Twitter before the game. And so
not as a reaction to
necessarily all that. So, but again, I think he's obviously trying to learn from it. You don't like that a veteran like that is trying to learn from moments like that, but
right, like
if that lights a fire under him, great, and that
Fine.
benefits the Chiefs. But I think largely, not just him, I've been mostly disappointed by everybody on the Chiefs pass rush to this point. They've gradually gotten worse and worse in that category over the last few years. They have not been winning as much, especially when they're not blitzing. And so that is an issue when you're going up against this Lions passing attack, because give Jared Goff time, he will pick you apart. He has so many weapons to turn to, and this is a very good Lions offensive line. And I don't know if we expect this to be the game where the Chiefs all of a sudden wreak havoc in the backfield against a quarterback. So that is what I am most worried about for the Chiefs' sake.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. But what's interesting is, and this has kind of been dispelled a little bit, but the idea that Jared Goff like plays much better in a dome, right? He plays much better at home or in any dome where he's not exposed to any weather. I don't know what the weather forecast says for Sunday night in Kansas City, but like that's a thing. And he hasn't put up gaudy passing stats outside of the Bears game this year, like 258-3 against the Bengals this past weekend. And that was not obviously an indoor game, but I really think I would be more concerned about the run, because I think for Goff to be successful, the run for the Lions has to be the drumbeat. And I think the Lions probably they want to run both those guys. I'm not trying to belittle David Montgomery when I say this though, but really you can't let Jahmyr Gibbs beat you, because he's the one that I think there's a risk of that happening. I don't think Montgomery has a big game. I would take under his 47.5 rushing yards for this game.
All right.
But Gibbs, I'd be inclined to take over. I think the type of runner that he is, when there is that little bit of, and like Travis Etienne didn't really quite fully take advantage, but he had a couple of holes there where I think the 6-yard ETN run that they were able to plug up is going to be a 17-yard Gibbs run. And so, like, I would probably lean over 69.5 Gibbs rushing yards. If it's under, I will say the Chiefs win the game. Like, that is a player prop that I'm willing to say is tied to the outcome. If they shut down Jahmyr Gibbs, the Lions will not win this football game.
But I don't know, because they shut down Travis Etienne and they didn't win that game. So like, that's kind of where I'm at.
But
the Chiefs have done pretty well against running backs regardless, but have not finished the job.
I'm not saying if the Chiefs shut him down, they win.
You're saying that it is a requirement for the Chiefs to win.
The Chiefs have to. Yeah, maybe that is how I mean it. Maybe I did say it the other way. I think if Jahmyr Gibbs is shut down, that gives the Chiefs a chance to win the game.
Okay.
If they don't shut him down, they're not winning the game. Is how I'm approaching it.
Sounds right.
If he has a big game, they lose. Is my belief about this matchup. Because like Amon-Ra will get his catches, get some yards. Jameson Williams has been very hot cold. Like from a fantasy perspective, kind of hard to trust in this game right now because he's just not been as integrated. But I think the heart and soul of that offense has been still the run game. And if the Chiefs can limit that, that's going to force a little bit more onto Goff's plate that I don't think I'm as confident that he'll be able to handle. So to me, I'm a little more worried about the run, not because they didn't shut down ETN, but because I think if they don't shut down the run, that doesn't portend well for their chances.
Call or text us if you want us to weigh in on some over-unders for Chiefs-Lions. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. Of course, the Xavier Worthy practice status today did not practice, kind of changing a little bit of what you might see in your jurisdiction of legality today, but we'll see how that develops the rest of this weekend. Up next, we'll try to help you out in your fantasy football matchups with Play Fade Eliminate coming your way, and Eagles-Giants to get ready for tonight for Thursday night. That's next on The Big Show.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for ProfitShares.com. You can sign up now and be ready to enter into the Margin Madness weekly contests or the Profit Picks contests for this upcoming football weekend for both college and pro. The Margin Madness, you can pick the outcomes of each game. For Profit Picks, you can go individually on how certain players will do, what kind of stats they'll have, things like that. And you'll compete against others that are entered into the same contest. And the more you climb up the leaderboard, the more profit dollars that you can win. Not actual money, but points that you can use to redeem for gift cards or charitable donations to some great nonprofits. And it does not cost you anything. It is totally free to play over at ProfitShares.com. So if you want a free way to play and win, go to ProfitShares.com. That's PROPHET shares.com. You'll start with an allotment of profit dollars, enter into those contests, invite your friends, and win big over at ProfitShares.com.
When you need power, reliability, and performance, there's only one name, Kubota. And at Farm Power Lawn and Leisure, we've been your trusted Kubota dealer for over 50 years. From Kubota tractors built to handle the toughest job, to Kubota zero-turn mowers for a flawless cut, to Kubota side-by-sides that take you anywhere, Kubota delivers. And when your Kubota needs service, our expert team keeps your equipment running strong because we stand behind everything we sell. Power through any season, tackle any job, get it done with Kubota. Visit us at 1702 Business Loop 70 East, Columbia. Farm Power Lawn and Leisure, your home for Kubota sales and service. 1851 Underground in Fulton is a unique spot with delicious menu items like the prime rib sandwich, sliced and stacked with pepper jack cheese, caramelized onion, creamy horseradish, and crispy onion straws, all on ciabatta bread. Grab some friends and check out the daily happy hour from 3 to 5, weekends included. Enjoy a craft beer or a cocktail. It's no secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and all month long, Lee's Tire Company will be raising money for Brakes for Breasts. This is your chance to help too. When you get a qualifying brake job done at any Lee's location this month, you can choose to get or give up to $40 mail-in rebate. For every $40 donated, Lee's will match your gift all month long.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
Parents know bats aren't cheap. That's why Play It Again Sports is giving you the chance to save big. Now through Sunday, come in to Play It Again and get registered to win $500 towards a new baseball or softball bat. You don't even have to use it now. Your discount is good through March 31st, 2026, so you can wait for next year's bats and still save. Stop by the store, scan the QR code, and you're in. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Stickland.
And I'm Sarah Stickland McDonald of the Stickland & Stickland Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field,
Our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Stickland & Stickland.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Some big football games this weekend in the state of Missouri. Mizzou, Alabama, Saturday, Chiefs, Lions on Sunday Night Football. Call or text us with your thoughts on both. 875-KTGR here on the Big Show with Andy and Brendan. You know, we told you about our Tiger tailgates, and again, be sure to come to ours this Saturday at 8:30 is when it'll start, 2.5 hours before kickoff. Different location this week. We're at the Mizzou Softball Stadium instead. Be sure to note that as you go and pick up your free tailgate passes at our sponsor locations. Next weekend, Mizzou's on the road. So there's no tailgate specifically, but you can watch the game over at the Deuce Pub and Pit with KTGR coming up that day. And we're really excited. We're partnering with Yuengling to put together these watch parties for every Mizzou football road game this season. So the first one coming up next Saturday against Auburn, either a 6 o'clock or 6:45 kick. We'll plan to start things at around the 30 minutes before kickoff, whenever it is. You can come by, watch the game with us. You can enter for a chance to win some Mizzou football and basketball tickets. We'll have football tickets this next weekend, basketball a little bit later on. Yuengling will have some giveaways. Deuce has some happy hour specials. And while it lasts, there will be some folks giving out free flight by Yuengling. I mean,
there you go.
Free beer. That's your selling point, right? So come on by next Saturday. Again, really excited. You can find all the details on our KTGR app. You can RSVP there as well. Let us know you're coming. You can see the event on Facebook. You can tell us you're coming there too. And yeah, see you at the Deuce Pub and Pit on next Saturday, the 18th, as Mizzou takes on Auburn. And once they actually give us the concrete game time, it was sort of not flexed, but it is a night game, either 6 o'clock, 6:45.
I think they decide. Are they deciding SEC Network or ESPN family?
That's
or
correct.
Is that the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Because those times are associated with different.
It's either that
networks.
game or Texas, Kentucky, and the results of Red River and the results of this game for Mizzou, Alabama, probably.
Yeah. So projecting, I guess if Texas loses Red River, Mizzou loses to Bama, even still though, Texas, Kentucky is probably not more prominent than
I don't think
than
so.
Mizzou, Auburn. But
again,
like
I feel like
Auburn beating Georgia. That could happen. That's
can
not
happen.
a big spread this weekend either.
No, Auburn's hosting the game. That can absolutely happen. I never know the scenarios with these things. Sometimes I think I know.
Guess,
I try
but
to
we don't
guess.
know.
Like if this
Yeah.
and this happens, then it's definitely going to be this scenario, and then it ends up being the other one. I have no idea. But either way, we'll let you know on the time when it starts and when we'll be out there at the Deuce Pub and Pit on Saturday the 18th before the Tigers go and visit the other Tigers in Auburn. And again, get all the details on Facebook, on KTGR.com, and on the KTGR app. Should be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. All right.
By the way,
yeah.
Have you seen that spread for Georgia Auburn yet? Have you seen what it is? Do you know?
I don't know it off the top of my head. What is it?
Take a guess. Auburn hosting Georgia.
Georgia by a field goal.
Yes, 3.5. Which is like that's basically the same as Mizzou. I think Mizzou's +3.
Yeah.
Auburn's +3.5. It's very Like this could be, and like even Florida on the road at A&M is 7.5. South Carolina at LSU is 8.5. I don't even think Arkansas is out of it at Tennessee if that ends up turning into a shootout, which the total is 68.5 for that one. So it could be like a very topsy-turvy weekend of SEC games where it doesn't really look like it on paper that much with some of them. But I would say Florida's live. South Carolina could even be live. We don't see that Garrett Nussmeier-led offense. So it could be a really interesting weekend. That's the one reason I don't mind the 11 a.m. because then I can kind of lock in on the later games.
And I think the general consensus, and we'll have more of the rooting guide tomorrow, but I think the general consensus, you root for Auburn, you root for South Carolina,
it's easy this weekend.
Yeah, you root for Florida to topple A&M potentially.
That we can debate tomorrow. We can debate the A&M one because Mizzou does play A&M. So if they're ranked number 1 when they come to town, A&M could be ranked higher when they get here than Bama. You know what I mean? A&M's
potentially.
5. So I'm kind of.
Do you want that tomorrow? Like again,
let's debate that. Let's save it.
We'll see.
Let's save it for the rooting guide because that might be a good debate.
So we'll get that tomorrow as well as our predictions for tomorrow. But let's be sure you're ready for tonight.
It's time to play Fade or Eliminate.
I don't know. Giants-Eagles seems kind of nasty to me. This matchup.
I think Saquon Barkley goes absolutely berserk.
You think
tonight.
so? Okay. All right.
A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith complain about how many passes they're not catching or targets they're not getting. And then they're like, okay, we'll throw the ball. And they lose to the Broncos. This is going to be the Saquon game of all Saquon games, in my opinion.
Tonight. So is Saquon kind of
start him.
So, yeah, well, you're starting him anyway, right? Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
But anybody that like in this game that you're like, maybe he's a fringe guy on your lineup.
So I started Jackson Dart last week during Caleb Williams' bye, and I don't want to drop him until I see how he plays because his rushing, he's been 50-something rushing yards both games. And like, what if he does that again at home? It's a 7.5 point spread, but let's say the Eagles win by a touchdown, but Dart, 27-20, and he runs a touchdown. And Dart is interesting. I don't think I have the guts to start him over Caleb Williams, but I don't want to drop Dart, even though he was kind of a 1-week filler for me. He's interesting. Scattaboo is, you're probably playing him if you've got him. Tyrone Tracy is back, though. That's where it's like, okay, does the backfield kind of dilute and the Giants don't have a big point total expected, so that gets a little bit iffy. I think you have to play your A.J. Browns and your Devontae Smiths, but just be ready for it to be like a Saquon game. That's my prediction for tonight.
All right. Get to play Fade Eliminate. You can text in your questions to us. Fantasy football questions for your lineup this weekend.
Or YouTube them if you got them.
Or YouTube, yeah, on our YouTube channel. You can leave a comment there. 875-KTGR is the number to text us. David H. back in.
Of course he is.
Yeah, flex for a half-point PPR. DK Metcalf, Chase Brown, or Ja'Cory Krosky Barrett.
Bill! My guy Bill is playing the Bears on Monday night.
Yeah.
I like Bill. Who are the other names that you said, though? I totally spaced.
Chase Brown and DK Metcalf.
So Chase Brown playing against the Packers with Joe Flacco. I think this is a get-right game for the defense there in Green Bay. So I'm probably leaning away from Chase Brown. He might even be my eliminate. DK's got a tough matchup. The Browns, you just never know what those matchups will be divisionally. But he's more of a fade. I would honestly play Bill Krosky because even if he's not getting the whole pie of the workload against the Bears at home Monday night, I'd save Bill and flex him. That's perfect, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the play. DK's the fade.
Okay, very good. Play Fade Eliminate here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. Wide receivers here. Play Fade Eliminate. DJ Moore. Keon Coleman. Romeo Doubs.
Man, Dobbs had, 75 touchdowns in his last game?
Give or take.
Facing the Bengals pass defense at home, coming off a bye. Dobbs is not going to be that version of himself. I actually had an offer pending all week, and I just didn't accept it, so they canceled it. They wanted my Luther Burden for their Romeo Doubs, and I think in the near term, that would have been a smart trade for me, but I'm still holding on to hope that Luther becomes more by the time it's crunch time for fantasy in December and January. But right now, Dobbs is a great play, and I would play him over I think, over those other names on this matchup because he's facing the Bengals. Keon Coleman is going to be boom bust. Falcons sometimes shut you down. They sometimes don't. That's another one of the Monday night games. And DJ Moore, to me, there is a bit of a risk in Luther Burden and Colson Loveland getting some more looks. We often see that with rookies off of a team's bye week. Do they integrate the rookies more? And Roma Dunze, to me, has been their most consistent receiver, so he's not going to lose anything. DJ Moore might not get as many of those manufactured touches if some of them begin to go to Luther. So I think he's not a bad play by any means. Most cases you're starting him, but if you have this decision in your flex, I would play Romeo Doubs over DJ Moore this week. I really think I would. And Keon Coleman's just not consistent enough week to week. He's on the road in that matchup that I would say he's my eliminate for this one.
All right, let's go to running backs here. Play fade eliminate between these three: Travis Etienne, Chuba Hubbard, and Michael Carter.
You're waiting on Chuba Hubbard's status because he didn't play last week, and Rico Dowdle went absolutely berserk.
Yeah.
Chuba did not practice today. And he was working out on the side like a rehab type of vibe. I think that tells me, with how good Rico Dowdle was for them, that they might just go ahead and let Chuba have another week to be ready to go. Michael Carter was very good. Obviously, beneficiary if they want to trust DeMercado less, but they didn't cut him. Do you think that DeMercado maybe gets an extra little bit of love this week as like a, hey, we still believe in you vibe?
Yeah.
Especially after Jonathan Gannon got fined $100,000 for like shoving him. That happened. I don't know if we mentioned the fine, but we talked about
the
this.
fine happens, but and I think that's right.
But I mean, we can talk about it more at some point, but it's an interesting dynamic there. But for the fantasy perspective, Michael Carter, I think, can be pretty good. Colts are probably going to win that game. They've been world beaters. Are they 4-1? They're going to be 5-1 hosting the Cardinals. So I'm not leaning toward a doesn't really catch passes running back at this point. So I think right there, it's a little iffy. I eliminate Michael Carter. I think I'll fade Etienne. Not a bad matchup, but we saw him be underwhelming against the Chiefs in the last one. I will play Rico Dowdle. He's not the one that you even asked about, but I think if he plays over Hubbard, he's safe to fire up again. Etienne's my play if Hubbard is active. I won't trust him yet off the injury because I think Dowdle has earned a split in that backfield. In which case, you go ahead and go with Etienne, who's still getting the whole piece of the pie. But Dowdle is a great play if he's playing without Chuba once again.
All right, Victor texting in. I assume for a flex. No, this could be a running back one. Play fade eliminate. Rashad White, Cam Scatteraboo, Quinshawn Judkins.
Okay. It's against the Steelers. I don't even care. He is as matchup proof as anyone. And I made a trade for him in one of my leagues because I had no shares of him. I was thinking, he's not going to play football this year because he didn't sign right away. But dude, even at the Steelers, normally that would be a matchup to fade. I'm playing Judkins. I don't even know who the other two you said were. But
it was Scatteraboo and Rashad White.
Yeah, and Rashad White probably getting the whole pie without Bucky Irving. That's tough because that is a pretty favorable matchup. If Irving is out, you can certainly consider it. But I would probably be leaning to sit somebody else over, like if I had the situation where my roster was so good, that's great news because these are all fine options. But I don't think I'll ever sit Judkins. Doesn't even matter the matchup. Because he just gets the whole pie. He's got a rookie quarterback. They're going to lean on the run.
Yeah, I think that's right with how it's looked so far. I
wish he could catch the ball, but he's going to be a bruiser and a touchdown guy.
I was kind of holding hope out for Dylan Sampson, but
that's over.
That's not happening.
Judkins coming back just burned him.
Yeah, we'll see. But Play Fade Eliminate, you can continue to text in your questions to us, or you can leave a comment on our YouTube channel at KTGR Sports and find us there. In the meantime, we'll have a live local sports center coming up, and then is the thing happening? Is this actually going to come to fruition for 2026 in Cardinals land? The famed catcher finally making his return? That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Offensive tackle Caden Green listed as questionable for Mizzou on the first SEC availability report released last night. There will be another update tonight, tomorrow night, and 90 minutes before game time on Saturday. Green has missed the last couple of games with injury for the Tigers at left tackle. Javen Richardson has started in his spot in the meantime. Mizzou and Alabama kick off at 11 a.m. on Saturday. The Yingling Tiger Game Day Show begins at 8 a.m. right here on KTGR. No practice for Xavier Worthy today for the Chiefs, dealing with the shoulder and ankle injury that he dealt with but still played through on Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. He had a full practice yesterday. We'll see what the practice report looks like Friday for Worthy as the Chiefs get set to face the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead this weekend. And the regular season opens up tonight for the St. Louis Blues. First full season for head coach Jim Montgomery. Blues host the Minnesota Wild tonight. Puck drop at 7 o'clock at Enterprise Center. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is next on KTGR.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking increasing clouds tonight as we drop down into the upper 40s to low 50s. Tomorrow we'll be tracking some showers and storms moving in early in the day, lasting through mid-afternoon. We'll see high temperatures in the low to mid-70s. Cloud cover starts to break up a little bit as we get into the overnight hours, staying in the mid-50s on Saturday morning with highs in the mid to upper 70s. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Truman the Tiger. M-I-Z. Marching Mizzou. And of course, to the house! To the house! The traditions of Mizzou football live here. Join us Saturday. The Tigers take on the Crimson Tide at Faroe Field. Our coverage begins at 9 a.m. on your home for Mizzou football. We are
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
When the Tigers score, you score at your Columbia Hy-Vee. For every point Mizzou scores on Saturday, when you shop at Hy-Vee on Tuesdays, you can earn that many cents towards your Perks Fuel Saver when you make a purchase of that value or more. They score 40, you earn 40 cents for every $40 you spend. Get free gas just for shopping at Hy-Vee. If you don't have perks yet, just ask to sign up at customer service. When the Tigers score, you score on Touchdown Tuesdays. Only at Hy-Vee.
From telling bedtime stories and doing late night homework to driving them to college and sliding them a few $100 when they get there, parents will do just about anything for their children. At Boone Hospital Wound Healing Center, people come from miles around knowing that their staff of doctors, nurses, and therapists will do anything to help heal their wounds. Wait, don't amputate. Visit Boone.health to learn more.
Real healing starts here. Boone Hospital, Boone Healing Center.
This weekend, cancel your plans. Brunch is calling at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Start with biscuits, not just any biscuits, local made, buttermilk, sweet corn, even gluten-free, smothered in scratch-made gravy, pork sausage, or the chorizo. Don't forget the loaded biscuit, fluffy omelet, drenched in gravy, stacked so high it's basically brunch art. And then there's the Dive Cristo, smoked ham, house-made raspberry jam, gooey cheese wrapped in a flaky puff pastry. The Monte Cristo wishes it was this good. Brunch Saturday and Sunday only at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Don't just eat, experience.
This is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants. I am truly honored to be voted Jefferson City's best, and that wouldn't have happened without our genuine and outstanding patients. We focus on continually serving those struggling with hearing loss with the best value in hearing aid technology in the area. If you are interested in a comprehensive hearing evaluation and solutions, please see us in Jefferson City. Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
It was 2:30 on a Tuesday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call.
It was a dismayed wife. Fresh off vacation, her and her hubby came home to a wrecked water heater. It had sprung a leak, a bad one. So while the plumbing team took care of that leaky water heater, Brian's certified restoration guide, Josh, with 2 decades of experience, came in to restore the area and stop mold in its tracks. Another day, another job, another expert added to the team. Ho-hum. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs. And maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialists. But branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDezyIGNS.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, better than a billboard.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Free-for-all RV Road Warriors, your best blast of Branson just turned into a bad day bummer. You ran out of gas, blew a tire, killed your battery, are sitting sideways in a ditch, and managed to lock yourselves out. Ouch. Hey, it could happen. And for the save, you call I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for roadside assistance, too. Fuel, tires, batteries, locks, winching, you name it. When your world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I-70towing.com. Now serving Boonville. Winching.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
So again, I believe the stat is that according to the AP poll, this is the first top 15 matchup in Columbia since 1979, which has been 45, 46 years. We had a caller tell us actually Mizzou was ranked number 11 in that. And that might have been the BCS rankings potentially, because that once the BCS rankings come out, that's what they flashed on the screen on the television and everything.
That's what OU was probably number 1 in, which is why we remember it as being number 1 in 2010.
And so I think the distinction is that computers and everything. I mean, I've actually kind of been like, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we went to the system of the BCS rankings. I think what everyone was upset about was that there were only 2 teams. Now that we've expanded playoff,
and that nobody understood what was creating it, and so that bothers people.
Yeah.
Now they understand what it is, and it bothers them what it is.
Well, I think we understand less about what it is because those 13 people in a room don't tell us how they pick the teams. So
can I give you an interesting development to all of this? It's kind of pertaining to what we're talking about. The guy, he's a Barstool guy, Brandon Walker. You know that name?
I've heard of the name, yes.
I think he's a Mississippi State fan, actually, which could get fun in a few weeks. But he's a big college football talker on the Barstool of it all. And he basically is saying this week, if you're an Alabama fan, this isn't the biggest game of the month. If you're a Missouri fan, this is the biggest game of your life. And he says that Eli Drinkwitz and his Tigers get their signature win over the weekend with Bama. So he's taking Mizzou in the game. But I responded to a tweet of their podcast and said, if 2013 against Auburn didn't exist, I would agree with everything else being said here. And I think the heart of it is correct. But I as much as I came in going, it's the biggest thing ever. And maybe this was last week and you were like, yeah, but what about this, that, and the other? I was like, okay, maybe I was a little bit hyperbolic. I do think short of the Auburn game, this is the biggest one. Maybe that's like revisionist history about the 2007 Big 12 championship because Mizzou was at the top, but it's like I don't think they were even favored. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of.
But are you not even including the Kansas game in 2007? Like that is bigger than this one, I think.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably fair.
And that has happened in several Mizzou fans' lifetimes. It's not that long ago.
That's a rivalry reason for that. Like it was ultimately what ended up being number 1 versus number 2, even though I think Mizzou was maybe
the
number
winner
3.
was going to be number 1.
Exactly. But like the Auburn one is the biggest to me because winning it would have sent you to the national championship game. I know it would have been like, would they have moved them up? Yes. With the way that went down. This feels in a way that's not necessarily, I'm not going to say it's as relevant to Mizzou's season, whether it ends in a championship or not. Because obviously in those instances, like to beat Kansas, you had to do that. And then you needed to win the Big 12 championship and they didn't do that. So they couldn't win a championship. Mizzou will still have access to a championship without this win on Saturday. And you could talk about other games where that wasn't true, but from like an announcing your program standpoint, because Drinkwitz has been building this thing up for several years. And if you beat Alabama, I think you've arrived. I think the opponent and what that means, even if they end up only going 10-2, like they beat Bama, but they stumble and it's 10-2. If it's 9-3, then we'll probably look back on it and go, it wasn't as big as we made it out to be. But what it would say about what I think is coming in the opponent, and it's on your turf, I do think it's above A&M for me. I know that sounds ridiculous because that was a quarterfinal to the national championship.
Like Mizzou's essentially played 2 of those within the last couple of decades. The Kansas game in 07 and that A&M game.
You're right. Yeah. No, the Kansas game was a quarterfinal effectively.
Basically,
So I understanding what that is. My point in bringing this up, though, somebody else had commented and said, I honestly even think the A&M game. And then this Brandon Walker guy said, you're both blanking morons. So anyway, this outsider doesn't agree.
I don't know if this guy is.
I don't think he's built on like the Mizzou history and knowing all of the big games that we've had. That's almost like a dismissive thing to say, you're Missouri. How could you have had big games in your lifetime? This is the biggest one. It's Alabama. It's like, I think it's huge, but
really?
I think it's huge, but I think you're laying it on a little bit thick. Just my 2 cents.
Quick play fade eliminate question for you because I don't want to leave Evan hanging. He's got a tight end question. Jake Tungus, is that how you say it? Don't know. Tungus.
Yeah.
Or Theo Johnson tonight.
Kittle might play. That's the one problem. And so I would say I throw Theo out there. But
I like Theo's receptions on Underdog. I'll say that
he's with you like higher. He's with a rookie quarterback, and a lot of times that's like the safety blanket of a rookie quarterback can be tight end. I'll give you one quick stat. I'm going to look it up just for our listener. I like to look at what a defense does against a position like tight end because you could say, their pass defense is XYZ, but do they allow yardage to tight ends specifically? The Eagles only have given up 19 receptions to tight ends on the season. That's the 6th fewest in the NFL. And so their defensive scheme, it's the 3rd fewest, 141 yards. They don't really give it up a lot to tight ends, but you're risking the fact that Kittle could play and then Tongus is a 0. So if those are your only 2 choices, I would lean Theo Johnson.
Okay, real quick. We might have to get to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes or no, Yadier Molina is a full-time coach for the Cardinals.
I'm going to say no, he won't be, and I'll explain my answer tomorrow.
All right, very good. We'll get to that tomorrow. And our predictions for Chiefs, Lions, and Mizzou, Alabama tomorrow. Picks of the week. Lots happening tomorrow. Join us at 4 o'clock. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Time is running out for the best full and part-time jobs in Columbia. Miller's Professional Imaging, the largest photography lab organization in the United States.